supper now, you hear?
But I still gotta get a can of worms. Oh, darn it. It's the devil!
Hello, devil. Welcome to hell. Is this where these two are off, Keisha?
Yes.
Off now?
Off. And you go with that.
One on the side, off completely.
To the family tree, what for me I'm content with a blasted Bible class, and you can't make a monkey out of me. You can't make a monkey out of me. Oh no, you can't make a monkey out of me. Oh no, I am you and through, all my aunt and uncles do, and you can't make a monkey out of me.
Before we continue with the court, entertain a motion on a matter of procedure.
Would the learned counsel state the motion, please?
It has been called to my attention that the temperature in this courtroom has now reached 97 degrees Fahrenheit, and it could get hotter. I do not believe the dignity of the court will suffer any if we were to remove a few superfluous outer garments.
Does the defense have any objection to Colonel Brady's motion?
Oh, I don't know if the dignity of the court can be upheld by these suspenders I have.
We'll just have to take that chance, Mr. Drummond. Those who wish to remove their coats may do so.
Well, thank you, Your Honor. Is Mr. Drummond showing us the latest fashion in the great metropolitan city of Chicago?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I brought these along special. Just so happens that I bought these at Peabody's General Store in your hometown, Mr. Brady. Weeping Water, Nebraska.
Now, let us proceed to the selection of the next juror.
Jesse H. Dunlap, the next Jesse. State your name and occupation. Jesse H. Dunlap, farmer and calculator.
Mr. Dunlap, do you believe in the Bible?
I believe in the Holy Word of God. And Matthew Harrison Brady.
This man is acceptable to the prosecution, Your Honor.
Very well. Mr. Drummond.
No question. Unacceptable.
Is Mr. Drummond saying that this... line...
Does Mr. Drummond refuse this man?
Yeah, that's right. Does Mr. Drummond refuse this man a place on the jury simply because he believes in the Bible?
Well, if you can find an evolutionist in this town, you can refuse him.
Your Honor, I object to the defense attorney refusing a worthy citizen without so much as asking him a question.
All right. I'll ask him a question. How are you?
Kind of hot.
Me too. Excused.
That was a question.
So am I excused?
No.
Who says that?
I said
You're excused from jury duty. Mr. Dunlap, you may step down.
Your Honor, I object to the note of levity that the counsel for the defense is introducing into these proceedings.
The bench agrees with you in spirit, Colonel Brady.
And I object to all this current talk. I'm not familiar with Mr. Brady's military record.
Well, he was made known there currently in our state militia on his arrival here at Hillsborough.
Yeah, the use of this title prejudices case against my client calls up a picture of the prosecutor astride a white horse, ablaze in the uniform of a militia colonel, all the forces of right and righteousness marshal behind him.
Well, what can we do?
Break him! Make him a private. I have no serious objections to the title of private, Grady.
Well, we can't take it back. By the authority vested in me, I'm sure the governor will have no objection. I hereby make you, Mr. Drummond, an honorary, temporary colonel in the state militia.
Gentlemen, what can I say? It's not often in a man's life that he attains the rank of temporary, honorary colonel.
It'll be made permanent, of course, upon the arrival of the proper papers, upon the governor's signature.
Oh, I thank you.
All right. Colonel Grady. Colonel Drummond, you may proceed with the selection of the next potential juror.
George?
And loud, David, loud.
Yeah. State your name and occupation.
I am George Sellers, and I work down to the feed store.
Mr. Sellers, would you call yourself a religious man?
Well, I'm as religious as the next fellow.
In Hillsborough, sir, that means a great deal.
Amen to that.
Tell me, Mr. Sellers, do you have any children?
Well, not that I know of.
You're a sinner, George Sellers.
You're going to hell, George.
Order!
If you had a son, Mr. Sellers, or a daughter, what would you think if that sweet child came home from school and told you that a godless teacher...
Objection!
Well,
We're supposed to be choosing jury members. The prosecution is denouncing the defendant before the trial's even begun.
Objection stayed.
Very well. Mr. Sellers, do you have any personal opinion with regard to the defendant that may prejudice you on this behalf?
Mr. Case, I don't really know him. He bought some peat moss down to the feed store, and he paid his bill.
Mr. Sellers impresses me as an honest, God-fearing man. I accept him.
Thank you, Colonel Grady. Colonel Drummond.
Mr. Sellers, I heard you say you were a religious man. Now tell me, you work pretty hard at it?
Well, I work pretty hard down at the feed store. My wife works on the religion for both of us.
In other words, you look after this life, and she looks after the next. Objection!
Objection sustained.
Now, Mr. Sellers, while your wife was tending to religion, did you happen to bump into a fella called Charles Darwin?
Well, not till just recently, yeah?
From what you've heard of this Darwin, do you think your wife would want to have him over for Sunday dinner?
No, Your Honor. A worthy opponent from Chicago is cluttering the issue with hypothetical questions.
I'm trying to do your job for you, Colonel.
The prosecution is perfectly capable of handling its own arguments.
Now look, I've established that Mr. Sellers isn't working at religion. Now for your sake, I want to make sure he's not working at evolution.
I just work down at the feed store.
Do you think you can...
Render.
Do you think you can render...
Objection! Objection! The prosecution's already accepted this man.
I want a fair trial.
Well, so do I.
Well, unless the state of mind of the members of the jury conform to the laws of
Oh,
the
conform. What do you want to do? Put the entire jury through a meat grinder? Take a box seat over there, Mr. Sellers.
Your Honor, this is ludicrous.
Gentlemen, you look bold, that boy. Bench holds that the juror has been selected, and due to the lateness of the hour and the unusual heat, this court is recessed until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Oh, and by the way, the good Reverend Brown has asked me to make an announcement. There will be a prayer meeting held on the courthouse lawn at 7 o'clock this evening when we were all paid for justice and God.
I object to this commercial announcement, Your Honor.
Commercial announcement.
Yes, Reverend Brown's product. Why don't you announce an evolutionist meeting?
I have no knowledge of such a meeting.
Well, that's understandable, I guess. It's bad enough that everybody that comes into this courtroom has to walk under a banner that says, "Read your Bible."
Let's switch.
Your Honor, I want that banner taken down.
No. Not right.
Or else, another one put up just as big, with just as big letters that says, "Read your darling."
Your Honor, we must give the little gentleman from Chicago all due consideration. After all, he is our guest.
Yes, pal, I'm a lawyer in the courtroom.
Oh, well, then behave like a lawyer. Stop using this courtroom as a sounding board for your obscene ideas. Dirty in the mind of our young people here.
Gentlemen, you are bold, Edward, and this court is hereby adjourned.
Henry Drummond, atheist. And what are you going to write in your newspaper now, huh?
He that sups with the devil must have a long spoon.
We'll fix you, kids. We'll run you out of town.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,